This is Kevin Min with the Fat Show, where it's football all the time. We're here tonight, here at Lake Oswego, where we saw Lake Oswego Lakers take down Westland Lions 21-20. Here we have a guest here who is influential when we talk about Team Lillard 7-on-7 football, and we're really working with a lot of these high school athletes. Here we have Houston Lillard with us. Houston, tell us a little bit about this game here. We saw a big matchup, Westland versus Lake Oswego, knowing that, Westland had got beat by Tiger, and then we have here then Lake Oswego is then really coming in with some victories, on their back. Well, tell me what this game really meant to either side.
Well, I already know this is one of those games everybody marks on the calendar. A lot of guys grew up with each other, played all kind of sports against each other and with each other. And just for my team, like you say, Team Lillard, we had about 6-7 guys on the field combined from both teams. So I know they were out there making a lot of battles, going hard. I see them out there chippy, getting into it. So I know it was a high-intensity game and very important for both sides.
Yeah, really kind of a cold night tonight, where we saw a lot of times there was some mishaps when catching the football, letting the football come and hit the pads, coming off. And there was a key influential turnover where Westland actually it was a kickoff, and they had dropped the ball, and Lake Oswego got that ball.
It was the punt where I think it was number 14, man. It was, I don't know, his hands might have been cold. He did change his gloves. He dropped it, and number 9, I think it's Casey Filkin. He picked it up and returned it for a touchdown. So
yes.
That was a really huge point of the game. I think it changed the game. I think that was a go-ahead touchdown, was it?
Right. It was a go-ahead touchdown.
Yeah, so yeah.
So really when we talk about the players that really Houston has, tell us a little bit about it, Houston, as far as some of the players you deal with right now on either side, and really take us back a little bit as far as where they started and where they're at now. So we could probably start with, say, Amir McGee.
Amir McGee, he's a kid. He went to school in the Portland Inner City League at Franklin High School, had a lot of success over there, ran for, I think, 12 or 1,300 yards a sophomore and junior year. Family moved out here for Westland, wanted to get him, I guess, hold kids in a better area or whatever. And he's been making a transformation. I think it's been a little tough for him just because, the atmosphere and having not being able to get so many touches like he was before. But I can definitely tell he's happy and love winning. Obviously, not so much lately. But he's been doing well, and I think he's liking the change, and he's benefiting from it as a whole and as a person.
Yeah, he has a lot of energy, especially when it comes down to having the football on the offensive, possessions and everything. But tell me a little bit about some of the other athletes, like Cameron Harvey. Tell me a little bit about him on Lake Oswego, the wide receiver for them.
Cameron is a very, very tall person, 6'7". He's special talent. He's a late bloomer. He's kind of like a baby deer. Kind of couldn't get off the yard, and now he's kind of spreading his wings, turning into a horse. So I'm very happy every time I see him. It just brings joy to my heart. You know what I mean? Because he's grown so much. So I think he's definitely raising the bar for expectations for himself and opening everybody else's eyes as to what he can do.
Especially when you're talking about also being a senior here for Lake Oswego, really some of the identifying marks as far as what he can improve on, right. Some of the things that maybe take him to that next level, possibly in college, some of the things you'll probably work with him, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Just mainly just character. That's the biggest thing. I think as the athletes that compete, you work out, you practice every day, you get better at those things. But your mental approach and what you take from it and what your goals are going into it is the biggest thing. And I'm pretty sure him playing with Jake Ducart is going to make an easy transition to whatever he's trying to do. So
there we come to Jake Ducart. Jake Ducart was another player that is under your wing, as it were. And really, we talked to Jake Ducart when we had an interview with him where they had beat Tualatin. And I think the thing is that we asked him as far as what kind of influence has you had on him. Tell us a little about Jake Ducart, where you saw him and how it came about. You had this relationship and really built something upon that.
A good friend of mine, I like to call him a good friend, Forrest Sherman. He's a defensive coordinator at Lake Ridge High School. He used to coach here, and we used to always play basketball together. And he's like, man, I got a kid at the school. He's a sophomore. He could be pretty good. And it just so happened to be around the time where I just broke my leg and wasn't really sure if I was going to continue to play. And I just, I wanted to get on the field, introduced me to Jake, and we've been rolling ever since. And that was sophomore year, so he just got it. He's just the it factor. He's cool, calm, collected, and no moment is too big for him. So I think we won't be surprised if he be getting carried off somebody's field on the shoulders because he did some crazy stuff in the next couple of years. He just one of those dudes. He just every time you see it, you be like, well, I knew he was going to do that.
Right. Tell me another player that you have under your wing, though, that has been really somebody that you could say there were a little bit of kind of a project, as it were, and really you kind of got him to the next level. Is there a player that you have like here that played tonight that is someone like that?
I think I think every player has to accept their own calling and put the work in. I just make myself available just because I know I have the time, the ability and all of that, and they're going to listen. But Elijah Natasa, I think he goes very unknown because his brother Kaiway is a freak of nature. But that dude, man, he's gotten bigger. He just tore his ACL last year, and he's been really, really dominant on defensive side for Westland this year. So Elijah Natasa is definitely the guy who surprised me the most this year, and I'm proud of him too.
It's really good that you noticed that, especially some of the leaps and bounds that he's able to make, Well, tonight we did see Westland being taken down by Lake Oswego. And again, 21 Lake Oswego, 20 West Linn. And again, we thank you very much, Houston, very much for what you've really done for not only the high school athletes, but especially really the development of these kids, not only on character on the field, but also off the field. And that's very important.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.